Welcome back to another episode on Connie Celica, our 1977 Toyota Celica. Today we're going to wrap up the fuel system and get started on the wiring. In a previous episode, you saw Pete install the fuel pump in the tank, which is now ready to be bolted into the chassis and finish off with fuel lines. So for that, we've turned to our friends at Sikky Manufacturing. They're best known for like V8 swap kits, LSX-based V8 swap kits into a whole bunch of different chassis now. Pete actually used their kit in his S13. He wrote a really good guide on that too.
Yeah.
That's on our website, so if you need help with a V8 swap into an S13, go to speed.academy. We'll help you out there. So the Sikky Universal Fuel Line kit includes this C5 Corvette fuel filter and regulator. So it sets fuel pressure to 60 psi, and we're going to set it up as a returnless system. Interestingly, the beams is a returnless system from the factory, and it runs 60 psi fuel pressure from the factory. So I think this is pretty much exactly what that motor wanted from Toyota. So we're just going to give it a little GM taste of that. Comes with these adapters, which will allow us to use their universal lines to connect it all to the fuel tank into the chassis. Pete's got a little other magic up his sleeve to show you when it comes time to install this, but if you're doing any kind of custom fuel job that you need fuel lines and a pressure and regulator kit for, go check out Sikky.com. They've got the good stuff there. I think it's time for Pete to jump in here.
I thought I had all of this figured out for you, DP. I was going to use one of these hardline to AN adapters, which normally, they're great tools. This is actually from Vibrant Performance, and it just has this tiny little crush sleeve that you would slide over onto the hardline, and then crank this all down, and bam, all of a sudden, you've got an AN fitting on a hardline. The problem is 1977. They weren't using 5 1/16 fuel lines. They were using like 1/4 inch. So we did a bit of research, tried to find these in 1/4 inch, and they do make them, but they make them in a -4 and not -6. So it was pretty convoluted. It was gonna get complicated. So the solution was going to a barb fitting, and it's a perfectly good solution. It just doesn't look as good. But what we're gonna do is put this in, clamp it down, and then grab some 1/4 inch fuel hose, which we've purchased.
Canadian Tire.
Yep. Stuff it onto here, because it does fit. You just gotta work it in, get some Vaseline going, and then this will hook onto here. And we will now have an AN fuel line ready to go to hook up to our filter. I'm not gonna lie, I already cheated. I figured out a place to put this prior to doing the job, because I was working on this yesterday, DP, mocking it up. And let me tell you, this spot here, there's already this little bracket and tab.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it is perfect for our fuel filter regulator.
Sweet.
Look at that.
Meant to happen.
It was meant to happen. That's what I said. It's hard to see, but up here is where our return line goes to. And then obviously this side is the feed line from the fuel pump, or from, the fuel pump, the fuel tank. And then way back up here is the feed line to the car. So we'll just use the Sikky kit, figure out which lines go where, trim some hose, and we should be good to go. What I think I'm gonna do is use this 90-degree fitting. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm not gonna use that one there, because that's the in. So maybe I'll use it on the out side. And that will go back and feed to our fuel tank. And then on this side, I shall use this fitting here. Bolt it up.
You don't bolt it up.
You cross thread it in there.
On there, exactly.
Usually there's a proper tool to cut the fuel hose with, but we don't have that, and I'm puzzled why we don't.
I know.
We work with Vibrant so much.
I know, we need that tool.
Come on, Vibrant, we do need the tool. But in the meantime, we're just gonna use a cutting disc.
Yep.
It also works.
Yep.
well, actually.
That actually is a very clean cut. Tough to beat that.
Here is our 5/16 barb fitting. Bought at almost any hardware store. And now the moment of truth. I'll lube this up as well and see if I can fit the 1/4-inch fuel line onto here. We did look for 5/16 to 1/4-inch adapters, and oddly enough, they were very hard to even like locate online. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't even exist. So this is gonna be a bunch of work now to get this guy on here, but it looks like it'll go. So it's time for intermission, DP.
Motor Trend calls all 3 Celicas the right cars at the right time and picked them over every other import. This award is based on engineering, styling, comfort, and performance.
Where's Moose when you need
I
him?
know. Moose.
You need the Moose power. Oh. You would have had that on there in 2 seconds.
Yeah, he would have.
And he would
I
have
got it though. Oh. Thank you to the Vice.
Yeah. Job done.
Job is done. See, it's not gonna look oh so bad.
No, it'll be
it's
fine.
fine.
Clamp on either
It's a
side.
necessity, you know?
We'll be good.
Yeah. Everything's cut, and would you look at that? We've got ourselves a fuel line.
Step 1.
Step 1 is complete.
Keep going,
We move
PT.
on.
Keep going.
Yeah, we're on a roll here. Unfortunately, our feed line of the motor is kind of in the opposite direction of where we need to be, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So again, we're using the Sikky kit, and it had these 90-degree fittings on the hose, and bam. So that's our feed line to the motor, and we've got one left. And as you can see, it's pretty awesome how you get this whole setup here.
It is.
So it's tucked away. You don't have to do that whole regulator up front with AN lines feeding a return line and all that jazz. So it really takes the complexity out of it. I ran this on my S13 and I'm sold. If you can put this in a vehicle, trust me, do it. It is the best way to go. All right, I think that's it. Return line's hooked up. We've got everything set up. Damn, DP.
It's looking good.
I like this.
Yeah.
This looks real good.
Super clean and simple.
Yeah.
Way to do it.
So now we're gonna pull this out. Crimp?
Brain freeze.
Hose clamp.
Clamp, yes.
Hose clamp.
Clamp. We're not using crimps here.
No.
Clamp them on, and we still have to put the filler neck tube in.
Yeah.
One of the last
breather
things.
neck, the breather tube too,
Yeah.
and make sure there's seals and all those
Yeah.
connections to the tank.
Yeah, and we can call this done. We won't have to touch this anymore, right?
I don't think so.
All right, good.
We can go to the front and put that fuel line into
Yeah,
the motor, and
that's right.
we'll really be
And
done.
we've got fuel, almost. Well, that is a wrap on our gas tank and fuel pressure install. Everything worked out really, really well, DP.
Yeah,
I
it looks
love
great, man.
the setup here.
Yeah.
The one thing we didn't get to was installing the filler tube.
Yeah.
But this thing,
Hard as a rock.
yeah, it's like a hockey puck. So we're gonna go grab some clear fuel tubing, the stuff that you use to pour gas into race cars.
All we've got left to do to get fuel to Beamsy here is a fuel line from the factory hardline to the fuel rail. So we came up with the idea, actually our buddy Dove at NV came up with the idea of just ordering a banjo bolt like this, which we thought we could just plug in here and then crimp a line on here and crimp the other end onto the factory hardline, but the thread pitch isn't right. So we started thinking, how can we use the OE stuff? Because first of all, the OE bolt comes with this damper on it, which I think is a worthwhile thing saving if we can. And the factory fuel line that came on the beams is in great shape. So we're literally gonna just use this. We stripped the other end off. As you can see, there was a weird fitting on here that actually had been cut as part of removing that engine from its original chassis. So we just trimmed that off, and we're gonna adapt this hose down to the 1/4-inch size on the hard lines. It's the same 1/4-inch problem we've been fighting with this whole fuel setup. So more barbed fittings here to go down from this 5/16 down to the 1/4-inch. Plug it on there, and I think we got a fuel line. It's pretty simple. So just bolting this up to the fuel rail so we can get a feel for the routing and the length of hose we need, and you can see it'll route very nicely behind the motor here.
Yeah, it should.
Down to this hard line. So we'll need to cut it, you know, maybe 3-4 inches back so that we've got room to put that barb in, and then downsize it to the 1/4 inch hose. So I guess we'll cut it right in the middle maybe, Pete? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Somewhere in there?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. I only got one chance at this because this is a factory line that I'm cutting. It feels so wrong. I'm doing it anyway, Pete.
Oh yeah. Feels good though, doesn't it? Nice solid cut.
All right.
There you go.
So, got our little 1/4 inch hose here. Join that up with our barbed fitting. We will admit that this is one more potential leak source, but
It is.
for
but
now
you know
it's
what?
gonna work.
It is gonna work. They're also not the same clamp.
I
Just
know.
oversight on my part. I only bought 3 when I should have bought 4. So we
The
found some
OCD
in my
is creeping.
stash, but they're all gonna work.
More precision craftsmanship coming from PT here.
Final cut of the day.
Final cut.
That's it.
We're done. Hook it up and fire this thing up.
The last cut is the deepest. Oh man, wait. I forgot another hose clamp.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're 2 clamps short now, Pete. We're 2 clamps short.
Damn.
Come on, man.
Damn.
Where's Moose's organizational skills when I need them? Come back, Moose. Come
I'm going
back.
to the store. That's it.
Took a little bit of effort, but we did find some 2-inch diameter fuel filler hose. This is like a universal part
Yeah,
from,
it's impressive.
cost me all of $7 over at our local CarQuest. 3 feet of that for $7, Peter. So I cut myself a piece. I made a huge stinky mess in here. Apparently cutting rubber with a die grinding tool wasn't the best call, but anyway, that's roughly the same length as the factory one, which is now hard as a rock, can't use it. This one has some good pliability to it, so we're gonna put that in there, and that is gonna be that for our fuel system. Let's do it, Pete.
There you go. Slow and steady's gonna win this race, apparently. It's coming.
Come on, baby.
There you go. Hose clamps are in, and the hose is looking mighty fine there.
It is looking good. In fact, I think we could pop this gas cap off and pour some 94 octane in there if we were feeling frisky, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's a wrap on our fuel system, but next episode we are going to do a little something about fuel control with this very sexy Link G4 Plus Fury ECU. It's got all the good stuff inside, including the ability to control that dual variable VVT system that this Beams engine has, which is a bit of a tricky one to control. So that's our secret sauce right there, along with a harness from Panic Wire that we'll show you in lots of detail. So stay tuned for that. I think that's it, Pete. Let's go eat something. I know my stomach is a disaster right now. I'll go eat some plain rice. What are you going for?
Burritos, of course.
Burritos.
Nothing but the best.
Mock me with your
Gaseous
burritos.
Maximus.
Deco, fuel filler necos. Daylight come and we want. Sorry. It's got all the power in the world to control that dual VVT ILLIWXYZ cam variable timing shit up front. Let's just do that all over again.